From classrooms to careers, bright futures are near as K-12 and beyond, empowering educators right here. Tune in to AUK 98.7 where excellence begins.
Hello everyone and welcome to K-12 and Beyond Conference at the American University of Kurdistan Center for Academic and Professional Advancement. Today I'm really happy that Dr. Michael, Shorik, and Stella are joining me in this wonderful podcast. My name is Umid. I'll be your host for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's get an introduction of our guests first. Dr. Michael.
Thank you, Umid. Yeah, my name is Michael King, or Mick King. Most people call me Mick. I'm working currently in Doha. I've been there actually 17 years in total. I'm the acting dean of a division, which is for the foreign language program, the foundation program and foreign languages. A little bit about me. I've been, teaching for about 35 or 36 years, teaching, lecturing, consulting, managing, all kinds of things. I do research now and again, not so often, and I tend to like to research whatever is the stone in my shoe at that time. So anything that's bothering me in my work, that's what I like to research.
Nice. And you'll be presenting a workshop today.
That's right. I'm going to be presenting a workshop which has a focus on reflection, the use of reflection. And I know that we're looking for new ways to, new methodologies, if you like, in the conference. This is not necessarily new, but I think it's forgotten. And I think it has a very important role to play for us to know more about what our students think. So to do that, we need to ask them to reflect. So I'm going to be arguing that we should even include this in assessment.
Okay, we'll come back to that a bit later. We'll ask you questions. Ms. Shorik.
Hi, so my name is Shorik Koshkarian. I'm coming from AUA, American University in Armenia, and I have been working there for 10 years now, almost 10 years. So I'm in EFL and EAP instructor and also the academic coordinator of one of the programs there. So I usually collaborate with different organizations as a trainer of trainers, mentorship support specialist, inclusive education expert. So the research and I love my love towards research and also committed to lifelong learning. I'm currently doing my PhD studies and I'm so much enthusiastic about that. I'm really thrilled to be here today.
It's good having you here today, and you'll be presenting a workshop as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm presenting about learning-oriented assessment, but supported by tech and AI.
Okay. It's really nice having you here today, Ms. Shoki.
Thank you.
And now, last but not least, Ms. Stella.
Hi, Ahmed. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here. Stella, I work with McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill has been a publisher for more than 140 years, and in the last more than 15 years, we started identifying ourselves as a learning science company because we have heavily invested in technologies within the classroom, how we can support the educators within the learning process, teaching and learning process. I've always been within education. All my formal and professional experiences within education. I've been with McGraw-Hill for 3.5 years, almost 4, and I've been partnering with educators across the Southeast Europe and Levant region to support them within their classrooms in terms of course design and course delivery. I will be presenting a workshop as well, and I understand the struggles with educators across levels when they're utilizing technology. So my aim of this workshop is for them to be the student using the technology so they can see it, they can feel it, and feel more comfortable with this technology.
All right. Thank you for the nice introduction. Okay, so we're going to dive into our discussions here today. And I'll be starting with Dr. Michael first, and with the first question. Dr. Michael, what role does emotional intelligence play in the modern classroom? And in your opinion, how do you think we can nurture that, maybe in this part of the world or globally?
Well, emotional intelligence, I guess, is about knowing yourself and knowing the other. and knowing then how to interact with people. And I guess the relationships now between teachers and students are changing. It's not like the old days where, you know, the teacher was the fountain of all knowledge and the students were empty vessels who had to be filled with knowledge. Nowadays, I think students want to have more of a say in what's going on in the classroom. They want to have more of a debate and a discussion with their educators. So I think that's something that we should acknowledge, and we should engage with them to do that. Just linking it a little bit to my workshop on reflection, I think, you know, we always assume that students can't or don't reflect, but of course that's nonsense. We all reflect. So it's good for us to try to grasp what we can from their ideas, from their feedback on things that are happening, and try to learn from that so that we can actually assist them better. So we need to know what they think about learning, and if we don't ask them, then we will not be able to know.
Yeah, and especially in the recent years, you know, times have changed, and it's unlike, you know, in the past times. Students have access to information now. You know, they can Google anything. And now with the AI, you know, coming in, I think students must have a say in the classroom. So how do you think, so that will lead us to my next question. How do you envision the role of the teachers evolving over the next decade? You know, considering the impact of technology and this flux of information from the internet into students' minds?
Well, first of all, I should say that I don't think we have to worry about our jobs. Whenever there's new technology, people panic about losing their jobs. And this goes back centuries. You know, there were people smashing machines up when the industry started, the Industrial Revolution. So it's about how we adapt to this new technology. And I think we mustn't be frightened of it. We must embrace it. We must see how it actually can help us to do our jobs better. And just to give you a little personal example, I mean, I'm not a huge ChatGPT user, but now if I have to write a sample essay for my students to look at, I don't have to write it. ChatGPT does it for me. And I say to my students, look, hands up. This is actually for you to learn from, but I've actually used this so I can actually prepare my class more quickly and then focus more on the activities I'd like you to do around the text that's been created. So I think, we have to make sure that teachers are not fearful of it, that they do professional development which actually shows them how they can actually take advantage of it to make them better in their profession, but also in their use of time, because it will give us more time to focus on things which are maybe more important pedagogically.
And I find it as a convenience rather than a distraction for both educators and students. Thank you, Dr. Mike. Ms. Jorik, assessment is an important part of across schools and colleges and universities, and the integrity and the objectiveness of the assessment has always been a concern in education. So, in your opinion, what are the most effective ways to assess students' performance beyond traditional grading systems, since now we're in this modern world where we have technology, AI, etc.?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Omid. So I believe we know that the world is changing dramatically, and we need to be part of it, including our classes. So assessment is okay and does its job as long as it is connected to learning, like integration of learning and assessment. So when we secure this, everything falls in its place. And what about when we say it should go beyond traditional way of doing? Yes, absolutely yes, because nowadays teachers demand on us is so high. Like we can hardly manage our time, our just show personalized and individualized approach in our classes, which might result in with the students with lower motivation and lack of ownership and things. So we can solve this problem by just doing things in class which technology is limited. So, and cannot do that. So technology should be our, supplement for our job. So whatever we cannot do or technology can help us, we need to do that. So just to put it in not other words, so let's say there is a healthy split between what's going on in class and outside class. So this is something really good. So we need to take care of things which technology cannot do. For example, peer assessing, peer learning, interaction patterns, and all these things. But there are lots of things, bunch of things that technology can handle it through flipped classroom. So why don't we do that? Like by doing that, we're giving our students ownership, autonomy, higher responsibility, and we prepare them for real life. So this is something we usually suffer from, especially maybe in your context and also in my context talking. So we have large classes with lots of, so teachers end up teaching to the middle, which is not a good idea. We usually forget about the top and the bottom because it's easier, because most of them like belong to that level. But we need to change this. Simply by educating ourselves, by educating our teachers to say, hey, there is something out there, so let's unburden ourselves and work in more efficient way so we can better help our students.
And that you got me thinking about the LMSs, the learning management systems.
Platforms, yeah.
The platform, there are many platforms now. And one thing that is of a concern is when there are assignments online, when there are, given to students, and assignments could be summative or formative assessments. So my question here would be using the LMSs, and assessment tools where students can, take a simple test at home. How do you think this data, can be used to improve students' outcomes, without really using the human element of teaching?
Excellent.
Because a student will be interacting with a computer, and then a
Yes.
teacher will be interacting with a computer to receive that data.
Very good. So here the answer is about what are we going to do with this data? Collecting data. Also, there is smart when we're talking about technology and things. So the good news is that nowadays, before we used to keep mental records or even formal records, but having all these big classes and lots of things, we hardly manage to do that these days. So why don't we collect data outside classroom again? So it will give us, everything about individual student record. So what we're doing with that, we can do wonders, like we collect them, and it is the most valuable information about feeding back, like about judging and making decisions. What comes next in my class? And this is all about learning-oriented assessment. Finally, those are when you mention summative, formative, they are just delineations, but they are not opposing ideas, like two sides of the same coin, right? So here LOA comes to, learning-oriented assessment comes to reconcile these two things and say, yeah, the most important thing we need to say, what we're doing, when we're doing, and why we are doing, and what we are doing with the records that we have, because those are, again, the most valuable, precious piece of information that will make us judge what should come next.
Thank you, Shourik. I think that data will not only be beneficial.
As for, let's say, you said also humanize. Yeah, yes. I totally agree with that, because there are some elements that technology cannot measure, some aspects that they, thank God, that they still need us, human beings. So, yeah, we need to do that. We complement each other, so we call it humanizing AI, even the records. So they need like human touch, just to make sure I come up with the best version, like the most objective, and also with human subjectivity, personalizing all these things and using and give it back or serve them to our for our purpose in class.
Exactly, and the shift between doing things online at home and then coming to the class and then meeting up with your instructor and friends, and I think that is also an important element. Thank you so much,
Excellent.
Shoki.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Stella, there are so many tools out there now, especially with the age of AI. There are so many tools that both students and educators have access to, and they can use, free of charge as well. My question is, how can educators specifically best integrate technology into their classrooms without really overwhelming students with so many login accounts, so many tools at home? What do you think some of the best practices are?
So it's the best thing to have within a classroom is one platform. I think it is overwhelming to have multiple sources out there. So when you talk about before with LMS, you need a platform that is integrated with your LMS. That's the easiest way to go through. You deploy everything from the platform, the external platform, into your LMS. Students find it in one place. Grading system is with one place. So this helps everybody involved. To do that, you need to go to trusted sources. Yes, ChatGPT is very, very well known. Can it be integrated? No. Can professors have access to educators? I keep talking. Educators have access to to the students' work? No. So we need to be very critical about the tools that are available out there, and I recommend trusted sources where every educator knows the person, have somebody to help them with the actual educator and the students, so they can best utilize the platforms. And going back, if I can, with the reporting system and the data, what type of data? It's also important. When you go to trusted sources, you'll get behavioral data. So an example, it's not about only the grade, pass or fail, when did I complete the assignment, it's also where did my students struggle with? Mm-hmm. What did they find challenging? Were they confident when they were answering questions? So it's the depth of the information as well that we receive as educators, so we can intervene with our students.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. So I believe, due to the many tools out there that we have, there is the use of certain tools that basically your institution will mandate that you use them, and there are actually really good tools with actual impact. How do you think educators across the globe and institutions can really, find the best tools? Because I'll speak for myself. There are some tools that we have used, and we basically have abandoned because they were good tools, there were excellent features, but they were not exactly beneficial to us as educators. So how do you think institutions and educators should approach those tools?
So technology, AI, and all the technologies that come with education, there are so many technologies out there that were not designed for education and for educators or students. So talking from experience working with McGraw-Hill, the basis of everything that we do is content. So we have pedagogically sounded content. Everything that we create aligns with key learning objectives. So, and all the technology is utilized to provide insights to the educators. So having a technology like, again, generative AI or whichever other technology is out there, does not mean that it's right for education. So when you talk about, I would recommend every educator goes towards educational companies or educational providers, because this will provide them at least what they know what they need. These companies invest within investing in technologies and have clear connection with education, learning outcomes, and so on. So yes.
We're short in time, but I really want to ask you one last question. Some educators are kind of scared of new technology and tools. What do you think is the best practice for institutions to introduce those tools to educators? Because some of the educators, especially the older generation, might feel a little bit intimidated. Not all of them, some of them. How do you think? What are the best practices for institutions to introduce those tools to their educators?
It's through partnerships. So again, talking about from my experience, we partner with educators, we partner with institutions. So when you again partner, and I know that this is within the educational technology field, this is what we do. We are there, we support, we don't expect we have no expectations from the educators, so we are there to guide them through the whole process. McGraw-Hill, for example, has a dedicated website, support at every step, because we understand technology can be overwhelming. How do I use? How do I learn? How do I teach my student how to use it? It's too much of a burden, and you're like, you'll go towards, like, I'll find some technologies online on my own, and I'll integrate them instead of just learning a huge system. But there is help out there from the providers. When we're talking about educational providers, there is help, there is support, training, professional development, and training for the students as well.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Stella.
you.
And that brings us to the end of today's podcast, K-12 and Beyond Education at the American University of Kurdistan Center for Academic and Professional Advancement. I'd like to give a big thank you to Dr. Michael, Ms. Shorik, and Ms. Stella for joining me today and sharing their valuable insights. Until next time, take care and keep learning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to K-12 and Beyond, where teaching meets tomorrow. Keep aiming for excellence only on AUK 98.7.